Hello and welcome to another fly tying session with your host Scott. In this session we're going to be tying the March brown spider. Basically I lost a few flies in the last session. Hopefully I'll have the video up before this, but if not, this is the story. I was basically fishing a cast of 3 flies. This was one of them. I caught a really nice trout, and then a few minutes later proceeded to go and wrap the whole lot around a rock and lost it all. So, which was a shame because the flies are working well. So, to tie this pattern, I do actually do it slightly different from the original. The original uses pheasant tail in the tail, and it just looks odd with a partridge hackle. I don't know, I just don't like it. So, I'm sure it works just fine like that, but the way I'm going to tie it is slightly different. We're going to use a uni thread in wine, which is basically a scarlet colour, or dark claret rather, in 8/0. In the vise we've got a size 14 B405. You could use any of the wet fly hooks by Camazon or any other brand. B170 or 175 I'd recommend as alternatives to this hook. You can tie it in any size, probably as big as an 8 all the way down to a 20 or 22. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but whatever floats your boat. I've met a few anglers on the bank lately, and they fish very, very, very small dry flies. I wouldn't even dream of being able to tie them. So whatever floats your boat, basically. We're going to need. You could use hare, you can use rabbit. I'm going to use this bit of grey squirrel mainly because it was free. And we've got to use some English partridge, and I have a whole cape here, a whole body basically, skin. It's very delicate. I'm going to have to attach it to a piece of card, I think, and we're going to be using that for the tail and the hackle, which is where the pattern differs from the original. And then we've got a bit of gold tinsel for the rib. So to get started, we're going to come in at the eye and lay down a layer of thread. With close turns, it doesn't actually matter all that much. It's going to be hidden anyway. So, they call it bedding the hook. And we're going to stop so that the thread dangles halfway between the point and the barb, basically where the bend starts. So you just want to tie on the straight section of the hook. A traditional spider actually stops a lot earlier, probably about where my end of my finger is there. But I actually quite like to use the whole hook. I do differ in some ways to the traditionalists. So I like to keep it, fairly fresh. We're going to be using probably the feathers on the shoulders of the bird here. These are slightly lighter in colour to match the hatch, as it were. I'm just going to grab a large one. As you head towards the wing, they get bigger, and you're going to need the large ones for the fibres to tie in at the tail. You're going to pull a few of those out, a fairly sizable bunch, and tie them in probably the length of the body. Like so. You can come underneath if you want, just to help them stick up a bit. So helps them flare them out a little bit as well. There we go. And we're going to trim that the length of the body, leaving a head length. And then you're going to get your tinsel. And you need short length, it's only going to be a couple of turns, maybe 3 or 4 at most. It's a very small fly on a size 14. I mean, when I try out a new pattern, I normally tie it on a size 10. Just to see how I can get on with it, and then once I get proficient at tying it, I'll move on to smaller sizes. Then you're just going to tidy up a little bit, ready for your dubbing. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using squirrel. Now I've learnt a little trick actually. I'll get the other bobbin holder so that you can see. This one's obviously attached to my hook at the moment. Learnt a little trick off another YouTuber. I think he's based in Japan, but he's Czechoslovakian. I can't remember his name there. And basically he does something really strange. So I've got the other bobbin here. So to stop it squeaking, you basically, I don't know whether you can see me very well, but you put your nose in between the two balls on the bobbin and rub it on your nose, and that basically, the grease on your nose, I know it's nasty, it's really horrible, but it works. Lubricates the spool so you don't get a squeaky bobbin. A nice trick for you there. I think his channel begins with Holy Flies, I think it's called. I'll see if I can find a link and pop it in the description, or I'll put something in the captions at editing. So we're going to dub some squirrel. It's the grey under fur I prefer to use, but if you get some of the guard hairs in, that doesn't matter. You don't want it too bulky, the body. We want to try and stick to the spider style if we can, which is minimalist. Okay, so we've got the dubbing started. Now the reason I like the wine thread is because it creates a very nice head. Well, I couldn't have done any better there. That's perfect. I'm going to trim it back a bit. It's a bit coarser than hare and rabbit squirrel fur, so it's more akin to seal's fur, to be fair, if you've ever been able to tie them with real seal's fur. Now trim the body fairly close, and then you're going to wind your rib. Very similar to a gold-ribbed hare's ear, basically, or an Adams. I'd probably do exactly the same for an Adams, the dry fly pattern. So that's the rib tied in. Just getting rid of a few more rogue fibres there. You've got to take your time to do this now, because once the hackle's on, it's going to be practically impossible to do it. That's much better. Right, then you get one of the smaller partridge feathers. You can buy these in a bag, you don't need to buy the whole bird, but I like to use a skin where I can. There's a nice feather, we'll use that one. There we go, and then we're going to get rid of the fluff. Just grab it between finger and thumb and pull against the quill. And then we're going to find the tip of the feather by using a pair of English hackle pliers, like so. Brush them back. Tie it in by the tip. and trim. And create a nice bed for the hackle. And then get the hackle pliers of your chosen design and wind. I had a very nice brown trout on this pattern. I mean, to be fair, it's the end of April now. You wouldn't think there'd be March browns about, but there still is. Well, at least they look like March browns anyway to me. I'm not exactly an entomology expert, to be fair. Anyway, get as many turns as you can on there, really. And tie it in well. And we'll cut the quilt as close as you can. Taking care not to cut your thread and the rest of the hackle. You want to brush them back and start building up your head. I mean, you could use grey thread. There'd be no harm at all using grey thread or even black. But I really like this wine coloured, it's like a dark claret. It's a lovely colour. And you can use the browner parts of the partridge as well. You want to try and get rid of any rogue fibres at this point, because if they get trapped while you're doing the whip finish, it's really annoying. So you're going to come in and whip finish. Now I've started using the rotary whip finish, so I'm getting quite proficient with it after doing 108 flies with it. Now I've spent a lot of time tying up a box of these spiders, and I've got to be honest with you, I really enjoy fishing with them. They don't take long to tie. So unfortunately guys, you're going to be seeing a lot of spider patterns on the channel at the moment. I'm going to be doing some lure patterns because our fishery is going to be stocked shortly. And then hopefully, as the season goes on, we'll get into more imitative stuff. I'm not the finest tyer of dry flies. I've been practicing that. I struggle with the wings on dry flies. They just seem to get in the way, the wings. But I can tie a perfectly good dry fly without a wing. This is my attempt at a black gnat. I caught my first ever fish on a black gnat. This one's got no tail. It's tied on a traditional dry fly hook, and that will catch fish. That's perfectly adequate. Hackle's probably a bit long. There's no tail and there's no wing, but it would catch fish so long as you can see it. So there we are, varnish to finish. That is the March brown spider. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.